Okay, so again, these are piecewise functions, and basically a piecewise function is a function that have different parts to it that are made up of different functions themselves. See how this function here, this graph, has how many pieces? 3. Here are the functions. So you see the 3 different parts here? And then that's a domain. Remember, this set of x coordinates are your domain. So that's the domain for each part. We're going to talk about that also. But notice the relationship between this and the function notation. This has how many pieces right here? 2. How many parts do you see here? 2. Okay? This has how many pieces? 2. How many parts do you see? 2. So you see these little 2 parts here? They mean something. So this piece right here is one of these, and this piece is the other. This right here, f of x equal 1, is this part here, because notice, what are those y values? 1. And then x squared is what kind of function? Quadratic. So that's this part here, because it looks like a quadratic function, doesn't it? Looks like a parabola. Same thing here. Each of these is one of these. You understand? All right. Now, here's what we want to do, though. On the last test, I asked you this. I said, find f of 2. Find f of 2. What did that mean? What's the y value good when x is what? 2. So in this case here, what is f of 2? 2. Because that's just right here, isn't it? Y'all agree? So when x is 2, what's my y value? 2. All right, what if I ask you this? Find f of negative 1 using this graph. What's f of negative 1? You have it in front of you. You may not be able to read it up here. 5, though, right? That's this right here. Y'all agree? So f of negative 1 is 5. What if I asked, and I did ask you this in the last test, what if I asked you, what is f of, let's say, negative 6? What would you have said if this were the graph? What's f of negative 6? What's the y value when x is negative 6? Yeah, because all these are what? Negative 2, right? It's all the same. The y value is all the same here. So f of, when x is negative 6, what's the y value? Negative 2. But notice when I did this right here, guys, when I did this, I used the graph, right? I could, though, I could have used this instead. And that's what I want to talk about. Because the graph won't always be given. You'll be given the piecewise function, the different parts, but the graph won't be given. So here's how you do it. So remember here when I said find f of 2? Right here? Okay, so I'm going to say find f of 2, right? So this says that x is what, though? 2. Okay, now let me explain what this part means. So this function is made up of how many pieces? 3. Here's the first part, second part, third part. The first part, remember this means for what letter here? It means the same thing as what coordinate? Y. So it says that y is going to equal this right here, negative 2, if x is less than or equal to what? Negative 3. Y is going to equal negative x plus 4 if x is between what? Negative 3 and 0. And y is going to equal x if x is greater than what? 0. And I should have put, I'm sorry, I should have put greater than or equal to right here. Change that to greater than or equal to. Okay? All right, now here's the thing. What is x in this case? 2. Okay, so 2. So what you got to do next is this. You got to find where in these domains here is x2. Is x2 here? No, because that says I got to use numbers that are less than or equal to what? Negative 3. Is Is 2 in here? Yeah, you're right. Is 2 in here? Is 2 between -3 and 0? No. But 2 is greater than or equal to what? 0. So I've got to use this one. So when x is 2, that says y equals x. And what's x? 2. And is that what we found? Yeah. All right, let's do this one. Let's find f of -1. So this time this is saying x is what? -1. So which piece do I use now, knowing what we just discussed? Am I going to use the first, second, or third? -1, right? X is -1. Is -1 less than -3? No, it's not. -1 is located where? Between -3 and 0, right? Remember the number line? If this is 0, this is -1, this -2, this -3, -4, right? So don't let the negatives confuse you. X is less than -3 means from -3 to -infinity. So do y'all see that -1 is not in there? That should be closed right here because there's an equal sign. All right, but -1 is between -3 and what? 0. So I'm going to ask you again. If x is -1, which one do I use? First, second, or third? Second. All right. Now, what is y equal to here? The equation? -x plus 4, right? Okay, so remember, -x plus 4. But what's x in this case? -1. So that becomes the opposite of a -1 plus 4. What's the opposite of a -1? And what's 1 plus 4? 5. Is that what we got? Yeah. All right, let's try f of -6. This says that x is equal to what? -6. So which of these do I use? First, second, or third? Where's x? Where's -6? Which one's good? The first one. But notice there's no variable there, right? So that says that y is always going to equal what? -2. So what's f of -6? -2. Is that what we got? Yeah. Okay? All right, now let's do a couple more. Let's look at this one. All right, suppose from our discussion, you should be able to do this now. Watch. Suppose f of x was this piecewise function. Now, we denote a piecewise function with a brace. See this brace? We denote with a brace. So let's say our piecewise function was this. F of x is equal to 2x minus 1 if x is less than 2, 3x plus 5 if x is greater than or equal to 2. So if I were to graph this, how many pieces would there be? 2. All right. Now, remember, this says that y is going to equal 2x minus 1 if x is what? Less than 2. And then I use 3x plus 5 if x is greater than or equal to 2. Okay, so here's my first one. Find f of 3. Which one do I use? Top or bottom? Remember, what's x in this case? 3. So is 3 less than 2? No, 3 is what? Greater than or equal to 2. So which one do I use? Top or bottom? Bottom one. So I'm going to say f of 3 equals 3 times x. What is x? 3 plus 5, which is 9 plus 5, which is 14. So what's f of 3? 14. So you can use the bottom one here, right? Okay, B. Let's call this A. This will be B. B, let's say you want to find f of -4. F of -4. Which one do I use? Top or bottom? Top, right? Because this time, what's x? -4. So it can't be the bottom one because is -4 greater than or equal to 2? No. But -4 is what? Less than 2. So use the bottom one. I'm sorry, the top. So this becomes 2 times x. What's x? minus 1. So that's a negative 8 minus 1, which is a negative 9. So f of 4 is equal to what? Negative 9. C, suppose I want to find f of 0. Which one do I use? The first one, top one, because 0 is less than what? 2. You know you can't use the bottom one because it's 0 greater than or equal to 2. No. So that's 2 times x. What's x in this case? Minus 1. What's 2 times 0? And 0 minus 1 is a negative 1. So f of 0 is negative 1. Okay, D. Suppose you want to find f of 2. F of 2. Which one do you use? The bottom one. Why wouldn't you use the top one? Because if you use the top one, remember x is 2, right? So the question is this: is 2 less than 2? No. 2 is not less than 2. 2 what? Equals 2 because of the equal sign. Because of the equal sign. That's the only reason why you're using the bottom one now. Okay, because of the equal sign. So it becomes 3 times 2 plus 5. What's 3 times 2? 6 plus 5 is 11. All right, let's do one more, and I think you should be good with that. Okay, let's do one more. Let's look at number 2. Suppose this time, and when we next week we're going to look at the graphing of this. These are going to be 2 pieces. I'm not going to ask you to do 3 pieces. It'll be 2 pieces. But let's suppose this time that g of x is a piecewise function, and the piecewise function is this: 3x minus 1 if x is less than or equal to 0, and 4 if x is greater than 0. So g of x is 3x minus 1 if x is less than 0, and 4 if x is greater than 0. And in this case, let's suppose in part A, you want to find g of 10. G of 10. Which one do I use, top or bottom? Bottom, good. Now, what do you notice about my function here? Is there a variable with it? No. So that means that y is always going to equal what? 4. So what's g of 10? 4. Very good. B, what's g of 1,000? 4, right? So that means that no matter what number I choose that's bigger than 0, y is always going to be what? 4. So I could say g of 1.65. What's g of 1.65? It's 4. 1.65 is greater than 0, so my y value is 4. D, what is g of negative 2? Which one do I use? Which one? Top one, because negative 2 is less than or equal to 0, right? So now this time I have a variable, so I'm going to say 3 times x, and what's x in this case? Minus 1. So that's negative 6 minus 1, which is what? Negative 7. Okay, E. Suppose I want to find g of 0. Which one do I use in y? Top one, because remember, x is 0. So question is this: well, let's look at this one. You wouldn't use the bottom one because is 0 bigger than 0? No, but 0 does what? Equals 0. So use the top one. So that's 3 times 0 minus 1. So that's 0 minus 1, which is a negative 1. Okay? You understand that? Okay. Now, on the worksheet, there's one like this. I'm sorry, I forgot. There's one like this. Listen carefully. Let's suppose that k of x was this piecewise. X squared minus 25 divided by x minus 5. If x does not equal 5, just put that right now. You'll see what I'm talking about. And x plus 8 if x equals 5. Okay? All right. So notice you don't see an inequality symbol, right? You see an equal sign and a not equal sign. That's all you see. But don't let that throw you off. A. Find K of 2. K of 2. Don't let it throw you off. The bottom one's easy to see. I only use the bottom one if x is what? 5. I use the top one for anything else. So if x is 2, I got to use which one? The bottom one. So that becomes 2 squared, which is 4, right? Minus 25 divided by 2 minus 5, right? So it's 2 squared minus 25. Negative 21. What's 2 minus 5? So that's just a positive 7. You see that? B. K of 5. Which one must I use? The bottom one. Because that says I use that one if x is 5, and I'm letting x be 5. The reason why you can't use the top one, I'm going to tell you here why it looks like that. Because remember, you can never divide by what number? You can never divide by what number? 0. When x is 5, what's 5 minus 5? That's why it says x cannot equal 5. Remember those restrictions on the last test? Yes. Same idea. So in this, x cannot equal 5. All right, but I got to use the bottom one, right? So it'll be 5 plus 8, which is what? 13. Okay. All right, let me show you what I want you to do. Okay, so on your study guide, do you see this part here? Right here? All we've done at this point was this one. We didn't do anything about graphing, right? We saw some graphs, but we didn't do it ourselves. So this is 2.2 part 2. We did all this. You see this right here? The one we just did, one like that. So you got to find each of these. You don't have to show any work. You can do the front part. You cannot do the other part because the other part is where we have to talk about graphing. All right, so all you can do right now is which part? Let's not do next week. So everything I've given you so far is due next week except which one? That one. That's going to be due the day of the test. Okay? All right, let me give you that.